How's it going? And welcome to another episode of the Professor DW podcast. This is episode 9 because it's going into week 9. I'm Tony Davila, Matthew King, Dominic Murphy in the back.
Dominic's back. I don't think
Dominic's
he was here
back.
last
He
week.
wasn't.
Dom's back.
He was here in spirit.
We need to get Dom a microphone so he can pitch in.
We should get him a Barbie mic or the Britney Spears mic.
The Luke Kilgore mic is what I call it.
There we go. Yeah, nobody gets that, but it's pretty funny. Yeah, he gets it. All right, so this week, the Professor, this is the week 8 coverage of the NFL week. Going into the weekend, it looked like a two-person race going into that with Jeff Johnson and who was the other one? That is Michael Larson. Jeff Johnson had a really good week. Going forward, he chose the right winner in the Chiefs, so nobody was going to catch him. So really, it was a matter of second place. People were trying to get that spot.
Yeah, Michael was the only one who could catch Jeff because Jeff had that 1-point cushion, but Michael was the only one who picked Washington for Monday Night Football. And because it was the Chiefs winning, a lot of other people caught Michael and actually passed Michael to completely eliminate him from the top 2 positioning. So it was a tough one for Michael. Took the risk, just didn't pay off this week.
Yeah, that's one that you got to take gambles. You appreciate that, but just came up short. And again, so Jeff Johnson won it all. He won last year, and now he is back into the postseason tournament.
Tumwater, Jeff Johnson.
Yes,
we do have 2 Jeff Johnsons who are consistently in the contest,
and they like to enter like 10 minutes apart from each other, which you would think would be a coordinated thing, but it's really not. It was
coincidence.
We found out that the hard way last year, for sure. All right, so it came down to the field goal again. That bonus question again, as you said, Michael Larson ends up being knocked out of that top group altogether. Came down to field goals. Lots of people had chances. Easton Hargrave and Jim Spinelli went over. Mark Wesley, 13 yards over. Wow. They're reining it in. Everybody's close every time. We've had a 6-point loss, a 4-point over, now 13 points over. So that leads to Steven Griginski getting back into that number 2 spot. The overall yardage was 1,714. Griginski went with 1,657, just beating out Alicia Clark, probably about 200 yards over, but she went with 1,469. So Griginski goes back-to-back weeks at number 2, and that does knock somebody out of the potential of getting into the exclusive postseason tournament.
Yeah, through the first 6 weeks, we hadn't had anyone get in the top 2 more than once. So now we've seen it back-to-back. Steven actually qualified last week with the second-place finish and now blocked someone out with another second-place finish this week. So he doesn't get the money, but he's giving himself a better chance at winning the Ticket Bonanza.
That he is. And speaking about that money, Jeff Johnson does get the money because the streak continues. Professor got 7 right this week, which in my account is less than the 11 that was made. So, so Professor's skid continues to happen and had a couple of picks, but Professor only picking 7 this week.
Yeah, it wasn't a good week for the Professor. He took some shots, which I respect, but it really was a pretty poor performance by the Professor this week. I'd be a little bit embarrassed.
Well, like the Professor and everybody, nobody had the Jets getting that upset of the Bengals. Nobody thought the Jets were going to win. That was a wild one. Miami over Atlanta. Nobody expected Atlanta to lay that egg, but it was one of those, is Penix going to play? Is he not going to play? He did not play, and neither did Drake London. So Atlanta had a rough time against a very bad Miami team. See previous comments. I am not walking those back. Miami is not good. Do not trust this week at all.
We'll talk about Miami here in a second. Let's move this along a little bit.
All right.
Time on Miami.
With that being said, let's move on to what the Professor has picked this week. And the Professor as always, sends us his message down from the Alps and gets them to us. And he continues to not pick great, but hey, that's good for you. All right, so this week, Thursday night, Baltimore and Miami. Again, Baltimore had a win, gets their second win of the year. Miami gets their second win of the year, but the professor is taking Baltimore over Miami in this one. And I agree there. I think with Lamar Jackson coming back, he was supposed to be back this past weekend. I think he comes back and does great things for Baltimore, and Miami's going to be the loser in that one.
Tony loves Miami, if you couldn't tell. Even if Lamar didn't play this week, I would still take Baltimore. Tyler Huntley and that offense actually looked capable of putting up some points, and I just don't see Miami replicating that performance that they had last week against Atlanta. So I think Baltimore cruises in this one, especially if Lamar's back. It's not going to be close.
Yeah, that's going to be a little bit rough to watch on Thursday. All right, Cincy and Chicago. Bengals gave up a lot at the end there. Chicago did not look good at all. Professor's taking Cincy over Chicago. I'll take Cincy over Chicago as well.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I think the defense of Cincinnati is still a big issue. I think Chicago can exploit that a little bit. But I think we saw Chicago, they settle for field goals way too much. You got to put up 7. You know, Cincy's going to be able to put up points on the Bears. I just trust Joe Flacco to score touchdowns instead of field goals more than I trust Caleb Williams.
Yeah, that's the big thing is I think the Cincy offense, when they want to, they can kick it on when they need to. And there are 2 really, really good receivers there. So Cincy, I think, gets the big win there. Next game is going to be Detroit and Minnesota in the Motor City. Professor's taking Detroit. I'm taking Detroit. Minnesota is a train wreck at quarterback. Wentz goes on IR, brings back McCarthy. He's had a quarter of looking really good at football. Other than that, I mean, Justin Jefferson's great. Jordan Addison's great. But can they get them the ball?
Yeah, Minnesota could use a guy like, I don't know, Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones to run their offense. That'd be really helpful. Yeah, I don't think JJ McCarthy is the guy. I know Carson Wentz isn't the guy. And Detroit's coming off a bye. They're rested, and they know that they have to keep their foot on the gas pedal because there's going to be a race, not just in the NFC North, but for that top spot in the NFC. So Detroit's got to take care of business. I think this one gets out of hand quick, just like last Thursday when the Vikings got blown out by the Chargers.
Yeah, I think Detroit cruises at home. All right, so up next, Green Bay and Carolina. You know who he's taking. Professor's taking Green Bay. I'll take Green Bay. I think this could be one of those that is an overlooked game by the Packers. So Carolina could give them problems, but I just think Green Bay is going to be too much. They're starting to roll on offense now. They're starting to get everything together. And that defense, it'd be nice to have a D end that was really, really good and fast. And it's supposed to create new ways for one other defense that traded him away to be really, really good.
Thank you for Micah Parsons, Dallas Cowboys, and Jerry Jones. I appreciate it. Yeah, the Packers kind of flipped into another gear in the second half against Pittsburgh. Jordan Love was unbelievable that entire game. There were some drops in the first half that really cost him. Tucker Kraft kind of exploded onto the scene. Josh Jacobs is not even 100%. Carolina is such a bad team on the road. Just go look at their home and road splits. They are terrible on the road. Don't know if it's going to be Bryce Young or Andy Dalton. Sounds like it'll probably be Bryce Young and Rico Dowdle. Green Bay does a really good job against the run. So, yeah, I think the Packers keep this train rolling and build towards that big Monday night game next week with Philly.
Yeah, I think right there with you. All right, up next is going to be the Chargers and the Titans. I think Chargers win that one. Titans, not good, but they had the number 1 pick for a reason. So that's one that they're probably going to get another high pick. They're not looking great. The professor's picking the Chargers. I'm picking the Chargers as well in this one.
Yeah, the Chargers got back on track last week. Good news for Titans fans. Cam Ward is not the reason they're losing games. I mean, he's not really helping them be in games and win games, but it's his first year. He kind of looks like what you expect a rookie quarterback to look like, although there are some moments where he shines. But yeah, I don't think there's going to be too many of those against this Chargers defense. Give me LA.
All right. So up next, Atlanta and New England. The professor is taking Atlanta over New England. That's one a little bit questionable, especially with how Atlanta played. I kind of agree because this has been that kind of year for Atlanta where they play very, very bad and everybody writes them off and they look terrible. And then the next game, they look like world beaters. They have just an amazing output on offense, and they should. Atlanta, on paper, should have one of the best offenses in the NFL. They have two really good running backs. They have a good tight end. They have a number one receiver. They have a good quarterback. But they're just so up and down, and Penix should play, but Atlanta, get it together.
Figure it out.
I think they win because that's one that New England might overlook them again. New England's playing great. Drake May is playing really, really good. That defense is good. I think Atlanta, this is that like sneaky game that Atlanta could win.
You know, Atlanta's already tired of hearing the 28-3 memes going into this week. I guarantee you that much. I was leaning towards Atlanta, but the fact that you and the professor like Atlanta, I'm going to go ahead and take New England. Drake May is having an unbelievable year. I still think they can improve on their ground game. Way too many fumbles. They've got the pass catchers. They've got a good defense that forces a lot of turnovers. I'm going to go ahead and take New England because of you and the professor. So thank you guys.
All right, so up next is the Blue Tent Bowl. That is going to be the Niners and the Giants in the Meadowlands. Professor's taking the Niners. I'll take the Niners too, just because the Giants just, with Scattaboo going down, he was their energy. They have a lot of it, but with Scattaboo being out, Dart has looked good, but now who's their number one receiver? What are they going to do offensively without this run game? Tyrone Tracy could step in maybe, but I mean, Niners have already dealt with a lot of injuries, and they're starting to get kind of healthy, so that's why I like the 49ers.
I like the 49ers. I disagree. I think Tyrone Tracy is going to step in. I think he ran well when he had to fill in last week against Philadelphia. He's a really good running back. He just isn't quite Cam Scatterby, but I think they'll be fine in the run game. But yeah, I got the 49ers. My biggest concern if I'm the 49ers is get out of the Meadowlands with Christian McCaffrey still healthy. This field just eats players alive.
Oof.
Serious injury after serious injury. Something's got to change there, by the way. But yeah, I think the 49ers are more comfortable playing a little banged up. Sounds like Brock Purdy's going to be back, so I'll go ahead and take San Francisco.
And the worst thing about it is two teams play on that, share that field. So that's double the risk of injury because that is a terrible field. Anyways, moving on. All right, so up next, Indianapolis and Pittsburgh. I think this is going to be a game a lot like this past week. Pittsburgh's going to be close, and then Indy is just going to pull away. The professor is choosing Indy as well. I just think Indy is on a roll. They're very, very good. Jonathan Taylor's good. Seems like this is the fit for Daniel Jones. Is he's not having to run for his life every game like he did in New York. He has a capable running back, and he's just got to be able to use his legs when he can and then deal out to his receivers. They got a really good tight end in Tyler Warren. So I just think Indy is going to be too much for Pittsburgh. It's too easy to get under the skin of some of these Pittsburgh players and kind of throw them off of their game.
Anyone in particular that might have been traded by a local team?
He used to have a pacifier for a mouth guard.
I got Indy too. They're just a machine right now. They're blowing everyone out. The defense is good. Pittsburgh's defense, really watching them last week, being a Packers fan and all, they're not good. They couldn't even get to Jordan Love, which is supposed to be their strength, is the pass rush. He wasn't sacked at all. Indianapolis, Jonathan Taylor, and Daniel Jones both have a case for the MVP. I told you, I don't think it was recorded, but I know I told you that something told me that the Ravens were still going to win the AFC North. I feel very confident about that right now because I think the Steelers dropped this one. Baltimore's going to get another one, and that division is going to get very, very interesting here in the next few weeks.
Very interesting. Because yeah, and then you still got Cincy in there. That who knows? Flacco can just outpace every other defense. You got to put Cincy up there too at the top of those standings. That is one of those weird, odd standings. One that division is very odd.
And when Shador takes over at Cleveland too.
Okay, that's a good way to move on. Next, Houston and Denver. Professor is taking Houston over Denver in this one. That's one that I don't know. I'm waiting for Denver to stumble, and without Patrick Surtain, that could happen. But I think this is one that Denver continues to roll. They rolled my Cowboys pretty bad, even without Surtain. So I think Houston could take advantage of that, but the receiving core is dinged up. So I would take Denver. Professor's taking Houston.
Yeah, this is a really tough game. Houston, I think, had the most impressive win this last week. Not because they really blew anyone out, not because of who they beat, just the way they beat San Francisco. They didn't give the 49ers the ball hardly ever. They had very, very long, methodical drives. Can they do that against Denver? I'm not quite so sure of it. Without Patrick Surtain, like you mentioned, could be a big vulnerability. But is Nico Collins going to play? Can they actually expose that? I trust Denver's defense more than I trust CJ Stroud. I'm going to go ahead and take the Broncos, but this is going to be one of the tougher games this week to pick.
So both of us think the professor's wrong. All right, up next is going to be Jacksonville and the Raiders. Vegas, I'm picking them. I just don't trust Jacksonville. I've seen enough of Jacksonville, and the Trevor Lawrence is amazing and great, and he should get more respect. I just don't see it. I think Vegas gets a win here. I think Jacksonville is one of those. They're okay. They're a good team, not a great team, and I think Vegas somehow pulls out a win here.
Professor took Vegas too. You guys are in lockstep, except for the last game, of course. I'm going to have to agree with you guys. I think this is a week where the Raiders coming off a bye. I know the Jags are too, but this just feels like a Jacksonville letdown. It's got it written all over it. I think Pete Carroll is going to have his team ready to play. I think you're going to see Ashton Genty continue to get more involved in the offense. They bring in Tyler Lockett. Doesn't really do anything for me. You know what does do something for me? Sounds like Brock Bowers is going to be back. That's going to help Geno Smith a lot. That's going to help the vertical passing game quite a bit. So I think Vegas gets the win. They're still a bad team, but I think they get a big win over Jacksonville, kind of maybe send Jacksonville into the pretenders category.
That's the big reason why I'm taking them, because I need Brock Bowers to have a really big fantasy week. You were my keeper guy. I need you to be healthy. Get me some wins. Anyways, moving on. All right, up next, Rams and the Saints. Rams. Professor takes Rams. I take Rams. The world takes Rams. Saints are very, very bad. They have a new quarterback. You're not going to get the Jackson Dart situation like you did with Shug. It's over, Saints. It's over. You're bad. Be bad. Rams win.
You just spent way too long talking about the Saints. Rams next.
All right, next is an actual good game. Yeah. Very, very good game. Could be a great game with how these two teams match up. Kansas City and Buffalo. In Buffalo, Professor is taking Kansas City. This is a toss-up for me. I just don't know. Buffalo has looked good. Kansas City looks like they're starting to roll on offense how they should. This is one of those that it could be a 50-48 game, or it could be a 13-10 game. You never know. But Professor's taking Kansas City. I think I'm leaning that way just because something always happens with Kansas City beating Buffalo. There's always an interception or a fumble or something that goes wrong for Buffalo. See Super Bowls in Buffalo. That's going to be this game as well, and I think Kansas City gets the win.
I think there's some nasty weather coming into Buffalo for this game. I could just be making something up. But if that's the case, I'm going to take Buffalo because I trust Buffalo's rushing attack a lot more. I think James Cook is way better than the combo of Pacheco and Hunt for Kansas City. I think it's going to be tough to throw the ball. Kansas City, again, they did not play well on Monday night against the Commanders. They had a couple of big turnovers in the first half. That game was tied at halftime. I don't think enough people are talking about that. They were tied with Marcus Mariota at halftime. I'm going to take Buffalo. I think Kansas City still has some things to work out. I think they'll get there, obviously, but I think Buffalo gets a win, and that's going to continue to raise questions in that AFC West with how the Chargers and Broncos have been playing.
Yeah, it could be. That's, again, should be the best game of the week for sure. All right, up next, local Washington fans, pay attention. Seattle's playing Washington. Professor's taking Seattle in this one. I'm taking Seattle too, just because they're coming off of a bye week. Washington is very injured, very inconsistent on who's playing week in and week out. Is Terry McLaurin going to play? I just think Seattle's defense with that week of rest is so good that their offense doesn't have to be great. They just happen to have the best receiver in the league. So that's another reason why I think the Seahawks are going to get a big win in Washington.
He might be a little quick to cement JSN as the best receiver in the league. Incredible season, but there are a couple I still take. He'll get there. He'll get there. You calm down. I'm taking Seattle because I'm not sure about the health of Jaden Daniels. Seattle's pass rush is terrifying. They get after the quarterback. If your quarterback's not 100%, especially with his legs being an issue, good luck. They are going to make life miserable for Washington. I don't trust Washington's run game with Bill. I think Sam Darnold is exactly what Seattle wants. He doesn't really turn the ball over too much. He takes care of it. They have a nice 1-2 punch with Charbonnet and Walker. JSN is an absolute monster. And then you got, Cooper Kupp still on the team. Can we remember him? Pretty good receiver as well. I think Seattle gets the job done, plus that week of rest for the Seahawks while Washington's on a short week.
Yeah, that a little bit rough. So, yeah, Seahawks. 3 of us. That guy too.
Yeah.
Professor.
That might be a bad sign, but yeah.
All right. And then the last game of the week is going to be Dallas and Arizona in Dallas. Cowboys fan. Professor's taking Dallas. I'm taking Dallas, I guess. The big thing is Arizona, which quarterback plays? If Jacoby Brissett plays, I'm a little worried. If it's Kyler Murray, I'm not as worried. I think they could pretty well. I think Brissett is the better fit in that offense. I don't think he's necessarily the better player. I just think he's the better fit for the offense for Arizona, and they seem to be playing well with him. They just don't have who's their running back is the big thing for the Cardinals. So what are they going to do there? I think Dallas can get a win. I just think Dallas's offense outpaces Arizona's, and it's one of those shootout wins, but I think Dallas can win this one.
Take the over. That's what I'm going to tell you guys right now. Bam Knight, by the way, is Arizona's running back. I learned that from watching them play the Packers. So just so you're prepared, because I wasn't. It's Bam Knight.
Michael Carter had an okay game.
It's Bam Knight. I'm going to tell you, you're going to hear a lot of Bam Knight. But yeah, I agree. Kyler Murray and Jacoby Brissett, I think, will both put up points on this Cowboys defense. Trey McBride's going to probably have a big week, but man, that 1-2 punch for CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, there's no way Jake Ferguson gets held to 0 catches this week as well. Javonte Williams is still, I just think Dallas has way more weapons on offense, and I think they're feeling a little disrespected after they kind of got embarrassed in Denver last week. And another team, just like Atlanta, it feels like it's every other week with the Cowboys. 6-7, I don't know what that means. I just felt like saying. But yeah, I'll go ahead and take the Cowboys as well. Arizona, they invent ways to lose games. See their game against Tennessee.
I couldn't be more disappointed in you. Oh boy. All right. So there's this week of picks, the Professor's picks. Whatever that was.
I'm sorry.
Our commentary on it as well.
I broke Dominic.
All right. So the page is up. You can fill out the form now. Get entered before 4 p.m. on Thursday. We had one that tried to sneak in after. 4 p.m. is the deadline on Thursday. You've got couple of days to get that done, to get entered in, to get into the exclusive postseason tournaments. 2 tickets to the Mariners, Seahawks, Kraken, Sounders, Storm, Rainiers, and into Emerald Downs. That is what you're playing for. Oh, and probably $27 as well, because let's face it, the Professor is not doing good at picks. For a while, it's a long streak. Don't be the one to break it. Get your $27. All right, that'll do it for us. Thank you for watching. Have a great week.